What's up? Yeah, I'm Zackry. I'm from Tucson. We called it the Dirty T. It was a little more aptly named like that. It was really, really hot in Tucson. And my first job, I was 16 or 17, was at a construction company called Liberty Drywall. And I would basically like hang sheetrock and like sweep up and pick up screws. They just called me the construction site bitch, is basically what I was. Not a great first job. But I liked the guys that I worked with. There was this dude named Gordo, who wasn't even that fat. And then there was this like really old dude, like 36, 37, and he'd play baseball games on his radio while we worked. And then there was our supervisor, Victor. But he made us call him Nickel, like the coin or the element. For no fucking reason. Some of the guys said it was because he did 5 years in prison, and then some guys said it was because he couldn't afford a dime sack. He could only afford half of that. Either way, Victor was like tatted up, like head to toe, and he had a big Tasmanian devil tattoo right here on his forearm. It was like throwing up a gang sign. I didn't even know Tasmanian devil had enough fingers to throw up a fucking gang sign. But he was like, in the very beginning, my very first day, he gave me a leveler. You know, they have like little bubbles in it that you use to make sure things level. And he was like, "Hey, come over here, kid." He talked like he had a New York accent stuck in his throat. And he was like, "Hey, go give this to the foreman and tell him the fucking bubbles are broken." And I did it because I was dumb as hell. And so then I did that. I was like, yeah, that's like actually pretty funny, pretty charming guy. And then like 2 hours later, he asked me to do it again. I was like, I don't think that's gonna be as funny. But I was 16 and he was my boss, so I just had to like pretend like he didn't do it the first time. And the foreman was like, "Get the fuck out of my face. What is this kid coming up to me?" And there's like all these little red flags that kept popping up with Nickel. Like, he would always show me porn on his phone. And I mean, I was 16 or 17, so like I was well versed, but I don't want to watch it with him. And I like the first time he showed me, I was like, oh, like, you know, it's my first job. I was like, I guess this is what employment is. Your boss just shows you this. And I pretended to like be like, oh, that's really cool how they're doing that. And then he just showed me every day from there on out. He like made it. It was Nickel's. It was a sport to Nickel to try to get me to be like a degenerate like him. And this dude never did any work. I never saw him pick up a tool, ever. One time he picked up a pile of chalk and threw it in the air and said, "LeBron James." That was fucking it. You really fucking did that. And then one day we were like out on like lunch break. We went to Circle K, which is like a ghetto 7-Eleven. And we drink out of Thirst Busters, which are just like big styrofoam cups of like soda or whatever. And we all got one and we're walking back and Nickel leans over to me and he goes, "Hey, Bambi." He just called me Bambi every fucking day. He was like, "Why don't you take a drink out of this?" And so I did and immediately gagged and threw up because he had filled it with a 40 ounce of OE and a Mad Dog 2020. You guys know what Mad Dog is? It's like a liquid Jolly Rancher. And he was like, "Yeah, this shit'll fuck you up." I was like, "Yeah, dude, it will. It looks like what it's intended to do to you." But he just kept pushing it. Like, he would do crazy shit. And one time we were putting up greenboard in like a bathroom at a Boston market. And yeah, that's a really glamorous sentence. And he was like, "Hey, kid, I need help in here. Let me bounce up here to help Nickel out." And I went in there and he just goes, "Hey, check this out." And he pulls out of his bag and he puts his hand open like that. And he goes, "What do you like that? How do you like that?" I was like, I looked like a piece of cheese, like a piece of really nice, like crystallized cheese. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck to think, Nickel. And he was like, "That's pure crack." I was like, what? He was like, "You ever seen a crack rock this nice?" I was like, dude, I've never seen crack. I don't have anything to compare that to. And then he was like, "Watch this." And he just started to do it in front of me. And I was like, you know, I was 16, 17. So I just like pulled out my phone and like pretended like I didn't see him doing it. It was really weird. But he would do shit like things like that, like all the time. And one time I was climbing up on a ladder and he said, Bambi, catch, and he started shooting screws at me out of a screw gun. There's so many nickel stories, guys. He's a really rough dude. It came to pass one day that he, I guess, went to jail for something. As can be expected with nickel. And so we were without a supervisor, and we got like a whole lot of work done. And years went by, and I was like wondering, whatever happened to Nickel? And so I went and I checked on his Facebook, and his Facebook currently, to this day, says CEO at I'm a fucking boss. And he lives in Reno, Nevada, which is like the Tucson of Reno. So, yeah, that's Nickel, guys, the worst boss I ever had.
Zackry Colston, ladies and gentlemen.